So it's December and it's a perfect time to think about goals. I just spent the weekend in a couple of my favorite coffee shops going through this process, and I made this document of reminders for in May when I review this to kind of just read through a bunch of my favorite quotes around this stuff and kind of get my mindset correct. So I just wanted to share this with everybody. So number one, the main priority is wellness. Your health comes first, and without it, nothing else matters. Number two, do it. If you aren't doing it, then change it to something you'll do. Adjust your goals to fit your current capacity and motivation. Number three, worry about the next brick. Don't burn out from getting excited about a huge goal that suddenly appears insurmountable when you start working on it. Focus on the next step. This quote from Will Smith comes to mind. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall. So focus on the inputs and the outputs, not the outcomes. Plan and review, but stay motivated by controlling the controllables. Number four is strategy matters. Define the constraint. If you don't know what is constraining your progress, then your lack of knowledge is the constraint. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. I love this quote from Tim Ferriss. What's the one step I can take that will make everything else easier or irrelevant? And I like to think of it as the big domino. I'm not sure where that came from. So yeah. And also, once you find that, then decide to commit. Focus is the elimination of alternatives. The Latin root for decide is literally to cut off or prune. And there's this quote from the Bible, actually. He prunes every branch that bears fruit so it will be even more fruitful. And then also, focus on it and don't spend time on things that are unnecessary. And that brings to mind this quote from Naval Ravikant, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Then number five is to act like an athlete. So athletes build this whole ecosystem around performing better. They track KPIs around their wellness in and out of the game. So to me, that's like, am I feeling stressed right now? Like, how has my sleep been every night for the past month? And build a team to help you focus. That's what athletes do. They have all these different people, trainers and medical professionals, all sorts of different people to help them, perform at their highest capacity at the one thing that they're working towards. And then also, athletes have a growth mindset. They win the game by just trying to play the game better. It's not about the outcome at the end of the season. It's about how they show up and perform. Reminder number 6, don't tell people about your goals. I thought this was interesting when I learned this last year when I was working on my goals. I listened to an Andrew Huberman podcast, and apparently it activates your reward systems in your brain prematurely, so you get the sense of actually achieving the goal a little bit, and it can really destroy your motivation to follow through with the goal. Here's what Andrew Huberman said. When you tell someone your goal, it creates a sense of satisfaction in the brain, particularly in the dopamine system, which makes you feel as though you've already accomplished something. This can reduce your drive to pursue the actual work required to achieve that goal. And I think you can look up just like Andrew Huberman goals. That's such a good podcast episode to listen to. I mean, he's always a little bit rambling, and it's always going to be like an hour long, but so good. And then at the bottom of this document, I put in just my SOP, like the process that I'm following through every year in December, and then a quick run through in May. And this is really the process that I actually went through last weekend. I'm super excited because I feel like I'm finally at a point where it's working. But yeah, kind of go through the big picture, like what's the general mission, and then define success in smaller time chunks, and basically like figure out next month what is the next biggest thing to do that will make all other things unnecessary or irrelevant. and then kind of put this into another document that I read at the end of the day, or just pick one sentence to read at the end of every day. And I also made a KPI sheet, and I still have to make the calendar of events, but basically I'm going to go into my calendar, schedule out next December, schedule the end of every month when I'm going to review goals, and then in May also do a condensed run through of this. I also included this as a reminder when setting and tracking goals. This is something I saw from Alex Hormozy about business, but I'm kind of applying it to personal life because I feel like business life is just an excuse to live a better personal life and to just try to be a better person. So how will this improve my life? If I do X, then Y will happen. Define X, define Y, and then at the end of the month, did I do X? Did Y happen? And I'll just put all these into a spreadsheet and just kind of put them in. This is the KPI sheet that I put together. It's probably pretty boring, but it's cool to me. There's like percentage of progress towards, am I owning something? Like that's my kind of related to my personal long-term and medium-term goals, and then my inputs around the main few things that I'm tracking, my habits, workouts, and then content, and then, wellness check-ins that just help me look at an overview of how I'm doing this year. And then I have these things broken down by month as well. I also put my budget in here. I don't know. We'll see how well that works, but this overall has been working really well. Saw it on YouTube from a guy that runs a company called 1000X Leads, and Matthew Larson is his name, and I kind of copied his procedure. He's going to be a huge name in business and self-improvement space within the next 5 years. He's working on his book right now. Yeah, anyways, maybe that was entertaining or useful for someone. It was definitely useful for me to go through and talk about this stuff.